Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to be talking about why a lot of people are wrong about the Ukrainian counteroffensive. Before I get into it though, there are people in the room next to me. And for some reason this time they're not playing musical instruments badly, but instead they're squealing like absolute idiots. So if you hear any noises, please forgive me. I took my medicine, I did everything I could. Unfortunately these people have arrived here. So yeah, with that out of the way, let's get on with the actual video itself. I'm going to be discussing three major points in this video. The first is that discussing the 40,000 Ukrainian soldiers that supposedly died, discussing why Ukraine's been moving so slowly, and then I'll be moving on to discuss why they've broken through and they're starting to accelerate. So, with all that aside, just quickly, if you find yourselves enjoying, like and subscribe. It really helps the channel, really means a lot to me, and it helps get my views seen. Other than that, yeah. So the 40,000 number is something the Russians and their friends just won't shut up about. You always hear that Ukraine's lost another 40,000 soldiers. Oh, but how could Ukraine continue the counteroffensive? They got 40,000 losses. Oh, Ukraine's lost over 40,000 people already. It's all over. I hear somebody screaming. The answer is, well, source, please? This is the really funny thing, okay? Everybody sits around shitting out the 40,000 number. The funny thing is, I don't know where the fuck this is coming from. Because, here's the thing. There are no credible sources that have proven that 40,000 soldiers are dead. There are no counts done by any independent organizations that have proven that 40,000 soldiers have died. There is no footage that proves this. There is no imagery that proves this. And even the Vatniks themselves generally can't prove this. So where does this source come from? Where is this number arriving from? And at the end of the day, it comes back to Russia. You see, after you look through all the different news articles bitching on about how 40,000 soldiers have died, and you look at all the people that say 40,000 Ukrainians have been killed, you come to one common denominator. Russia said 40,000 died. And it came from the Ministry of Defense. As all bad propaganda does. This is a major problem. The problem is that this means that people are putting huge amounts of weight on the shoulders of what the Russian Ministry of Defense is saying. Now here's the thing. The Russian Ministry of Defense works as a source in some occasions. You see, if for example you want to have a basic understanding of what a tank can do or a fighter jet's capable of. If you want to discuss, the general design concept or philosophy behind an asset or what Soviet doctrine is, then you can take a look at this Russian Ministry of Defense. The problem is though, if hypothetically you actually want a honest answer and a non-propaganda based and frank opinion on how many Ukrainians have died in a counteroffensive, the Russian Ministry of Defense is not really the main group of people you're going to want to go to. Because first of all, there is conflict of interest. They will inflate the numbers that Ukraine has taken, and they won't be telling you the whole truth because they won't be telling you how many Russians have died. And this is a big problem. The big issue is that when we sit down and we actually look at this argument, it really comes from a baseless statement. And if you really look into it, it's got so many questions as to how relevant this really is. Do these 40,000 soldiers, are these confirmed since the counteroffensive? Which means that it could just been 10,000 people in a single morgue that were finally shipped to Russia and that were now confirmed dead. That's possible. Or maybe they found a mass grave, or the Russians did whatever. The thing is that you have to understand the context behind this. The next big thing is also that, again, there is no footage, there is no evidence that actually proves this. So realistically, when people talk about 40,000 people being dead, well, the answer is, it's possible, but it's bloody unlikely. Because as we know, Russia lies. Like, seriously, guys, they were so afraid of telling us that the Moskva had sunk. They denied it up until the point that its burnt-out wreckage was found. And then it claimed that it sank in a breeze, apparently. Because their storm claim makes no sense, since there were no storms in the area. And, of course, then when they finally got it proved that it was hit by missiles, they claimed that, or it was hit by explosives, or it burnt down due to explosions. They then claimed that it was just basically chain-smoking Russians juggling explosives in the ammunition room. So as you can tell, Russia has never lied before. So yeah. Now with that bit out of the way, now we'll move on to why Ukraine's been moving so slowly. And this is where we come to a whole different level of cope from the Russians. Ah, yes, you see, this proves that Russia can take on NATO and its forces. Russia's so powerful, you can't even counter it. Sure. Sure thing, buddy. Okay, so this is the thing I want to make clear, okay? People don't understand what they're talking about, and it really is annoying. Because when you look at this is not Russia having a successful, decisive victory. It's just Russia sitting here telling everyone that they're having a decisive victory. Kind of ties into my first point. You see, the thing is, when you look at how Russia's holding off the Ukrainians, you're quickly going to realize it's nothing particularly special. It's nothing unique, and it's nothing awesome. Basically, what happened was they slapped down a fuckload of mines, and they've hidden behind these mines, going, yes, we are definitely going to hold you off. And, of course, they sit there pretending that they're going to be able to stop Ukraine through their actual capacity rather than just the number of minefields they have. And this is a really big problem. The problem is you have to understand what you're looking at. You're looking at heavily dug in people with multiple different layers of trench lines of various different sizes hiding behind minefields that are so dense and so sporadically mined that even the Russians don't know where the mines are. I put footage in for this, but I don't really want to risk losing my channel or having shit taken down, because the Russians definitely do go around reporting stuff, and it is something that happens. And some channels I like have lost monetization or had stuff taken out. So yeah, I apologize. I can find you some links if you want. But anyway, you see, this is where we come to the big problem. The big problem is that this means Ukraine now has to deal with all these mines. And realistically, when your main offensive is based off a very small amount of mine-sweeping vehicles, it's just going to be difficult. Overall, this means that Ukraine has to play it safely. They have to go through slowly, they have to go trench by trench, meter by meter, minefield by minefield. And it basically takes a much longer time than what normally would happen. So, is this final proof that Ukraine's lost? No. The thing is that what a lot of the Vatniks don't really understand is that if Ukraine actually wanted, they could have been at the first line and they could have penetrated the first lines of Russian defenses weeks ago. And this is actually the really annoying thing that people don't understand. The problem is that it's Ukraine trying to not lose all their vehicles in one go. You see, this is what Russia has been doing throughout this war. They'll make a gain, they'll hold on to a bit of territory for about 2 months, and then they'll lose all of it, because they lost all their troops in the process of capturing it, and all their assets are just stuck down, they're bogged, they're out of supplies and out of ammunition. Ukraine wants to actually make it to the first line of defense, but also want to make it past that. They want to make it through the second and third line of defense before breaking through and taking back a lot of territory. This means that Ukraine is not going to be wasting their vehicles and soldiers on meaningless gains that have very little battlefield application due to the overall losses that they took. And this is the big thing. So far, Ukraine has been using limited operations, and we haven't seen huge numbers of tanks being deployed. Now, obviously, as at the time of making this video, Ukraine has broken through the first line defense, and that's something important to understand. However, again, like I keep saying, it is going slowly because they've still got to deal with 2 other layers of defense, and they've got to deal with a lot of other things. Like, there are still minefields. So with that out of the way, how is Ukraine now breaking through? The answer is kind of a combination of the first two points that I made. The first point is that Ukraine hasn't suffered as catastrophic losses as the Russians like to make it out to be. They have not lost 90% of their forces. They haven't lost 40,000 soldiers. There is no evidence to claim the support or back up this claim. The next big thing is that at the end of the day, they had to deal with massive minefields. They had to deal with lots of smaller trenches that could be manned by only a few soldiers, which would slow down the Ukrainians enough that the Russians would be able to hold on to it for a bit longer. This basically means Ukraine has to go slow, they have to take their time, and they have to clear each trench line